Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another Lorcana video. Today I'm finally going to be going over the deck I brought for the first constructed tournament held by the Lorcana HQ Discord. Sorry it took so long. I've seen plenty of channels more or less cover it if they went over the top 8 finalists, but between my vacation and catching up on videos it took me a while, but here we are. This was held last month with a total of 45 participants. There were 6 rounds of games followed by a top 8 bracket. My deck, surprisingly enough, managed to go 5-1, only taking 1 loss against Laoshi Mahan, who also managed to place. We managed to take 4th seed going to top 8, so the deck already performed beyond my wildest dreams. I was really happy with it. Unfortunately, my aforementioned vacation started right as rounds ended, and I wasn't able to play in the top 8 and had to forfeit. I didn't leave here nothing though. The 8th place still received 2 packs, which is sweet. Not only that, one of my packs managed to strike gold, so who's the loser now? Anyway, like I said, we'll go over the deck in this video. I will follow up in subsequent videos with gameplay from each of the rounds. One more thing before we dive into the deck, my good friend Walter ended up winning it all and taking 1st place overall. If you haven't seen it yet, he covers the deck on his channel, so go send him some love. I've linked it down below, and yeah, let's get into the deck list. So this is the deck that I brought for the tournament. I'll quickly go over some of my choices and why they're here, and also kind of quickly go over what didn't really perform as well as I thought, and things I would change. Starting off, I have Develop Your Brain. Card was a lifesaver. 4 of is non-negotiable in my opinion. It's inkable if you need to. If you draw it late, it's not a brick since it replaces itself. And it really helped to get the deck going since it doesn't really have much other card draw. So yeah, 4. I run 3 of the Baby Aurora and 2 of the Dreaming Guardian. I honestly just have these as aggro control, so like one of my struggles was I really needed to find an answer to turn 1 Lilo and turn 2 Simba, and this is what I came up with. I could drop Aurora on 2 and shift onto 3 immediately to take Simba out. I mean, not the best, but it was enough. I just had to curb them enough so that I was able to ramp into Be Prepared. So yeah, I just needed anything really. Honestly, I didn't even want to play Dreaming Guardian for her abilities. I'm not sure how often I used it even, but yeah, I just used her as an aggro mitigation. I definitely played them during the tourney. I'm not sure how much they stood out in my memory, but yeah, not useless, but currently just my only answer to aggro. Next, I have 4 Grandma Talas and 4 Mickey Mouse Detectives. Again, I feel non-negotiable. I think some people run like 3 Talas, maybe 3 Mickeys, but I need to hit my ramp, and these are the only ones I'm running. So I was running 1 jump ahead in earlier iterations, but this deck kind of suffers with draw, and drawing that card late felt like really bad. At least with Tala, I can kind of just anchor if I see her later, and Mickey also kind of bricks hard, but the mulligan strategy I kind of go with is pretty straightforward. Just aggressively mulligan for these 2 cards. Unless I kind of have them already in my starting hand, then I can kind of be a little more picky. That was another nice thing with Develop Your Brain. If I saw Mickey when I was done ramping later, I could dump him to the bottom of my deck and not worry about drawing him again. But yeah, they're the bread and butter of ramps. I want to see them every game, so that's why I ran 4 of them both. Next, I have 2 Baby Jasmines and 3 Queen Jasmines. These actually did work well during my testing. Most of it was done before Amethyst Ruby started dominating though, so the meta was definitely not where it is now. The idea for them was to keep mainly Maui and Heroic Aladdin healthy so I could have more favorable trades. During the tourney, I'll say these underperformed. I would probably cut it in future iterations of this deck, but yeah, you know, the meta just ended up avoiding challenges a lot, so I didn't see many instances to heal that were helpful. The times that I could have healed Maui, I usually would have rather just sacrifice him to continue to develop other cards, and Aladdin usually just got removed most of the time. 2 Baby Aladdins and 3 Heroic Aladdins. I would definitely bump Heroic back up to 4. Just a really good card. I think I cut him for space and kind of regret it. Honestly, in ramp decks, shifting isn't that important. You're hitting the big numbers earlier anyway, so 2 of the Street Rat Aladdin was fine. Honestly, I think I should have maybe done 1 Street Rat Aladdin and 4 Heroic if I was even going to run them. I almost did cut him completely at one point, but it's still useful, obviously. It was good kind of just to have him on the board on turn 4, so that I could have the threat of shifting Heroic Aladdin on 5. So yeah, good to have, but again, not necessary in ramp, I think. I ran 4 copies of Dragonfire. I know a lot of people run 3, but I just wanted to hit this card more consistently. Also in the long control matchups, I feel like I'm using them a lot anyway, so yeah, I understand 3, maybe might go 3 in the future. 4 worked pretty well for me in this tourney though. Let It Go I ran 3 of. Honestly, I felt like 3 was perfect. With all the other removal I have in this deck, I actually ink this like most of the time. It's good in a pinch though, like when I didn't draw any of the others or to use them, or if I top decked it. So yeah, not bad. I don't think I sung it once. Gonna have to review some of my games to see if I should have, but yeah, 3 was good. 4 copies of the 5-drop Mal. People are sleeping on this card. It's broken in my opinion. 3/6 with 3 lore pips. Outside of Ruby, she's so hard to get rid of. Maui's really nasty into her, which is the only downside, but she really begs to be answered immediately, or she threatens to run away with the game. If needed against aggro, she also just trades really well against all the tiny guys. Totally slept on. I'd run 4 of her any day in any Sapphire deck almost, I think. 4 Mauis, I don't think I really have to go over this. He's crazy, he's staple, I think. He just trades like a monster, stays on the board, trades some more, and if you're up against a deck that's avoiding trades, he's ink. It's just all around monster. If you're not running 3 or 4 of him in a Ruby deck, I just think you're wrong. 4 Robin Hoods, another staple. Great top deck as he replaces himself most of the time. It's the only other card draw I have, and it counters evasives. I've kept these in mulligans against evasive matchups with good results. Won me games for sure, so yeah, a great card, 4 of. 2 copies of Scar. This one's contentious for sure. I know a lot of people don't like this card. In the tourney itself, I think I only used him once. So yeah, not the best, but I definitely like having him as a threat. He threatens a free Aladdin or Maui trade, which swings tempo pretty hard, and all other times he thinks. So 2 have felt good, honestly. I actually think I would keep it in there. And 4 copies of the rest to round it out. Be Prepared, Hades, and Monstrous Dragon. Honestly, all non-negotiable, I think. I know I'm running up the uninkable tab, but they're just too good. Like, you want to find them. Also, the reason my top end is so heavy, besides the fact that I'm playing ramp and hit it sooner, is that honestly, at the end of the day, I will be top decking. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't have enough sustainable draw, and I know that's where I'll be before the game ends. So in that scenario, I want to be drawing these top ends. So yeah, I run a lot of them. As for changes I would make to the deck, in retrospect, now after playing through the tournament and getting more of a feel for the current meta, I would probably take out the Jasmine package. As I mentioned in the deck list, it underperformed, and after playing around with it a little more, I don't see them doing much for me in the future. To replace these, I would probably add back some of the concessions I made for space, so +1 Baby Aurora, +1 Dreaming Guardian, and +1 Heroic Aladdin. And for the last 2 slots, I would add in 2 Shields of Virtue. I think I slept on this card during testing, not fully grasping its utility. I kind of slept on items in general, and I got taught a hard lesson in one of the rounds. So as far as immediate changes, that's probably what I would go for. As for the future, I might test with this deck a little more, but I'm currently working on others. So yeah, I'm definitely putting a pin in on this, but definitely worth revisiting in the future, especially with the upcoming set and new cards. So here are my matchups for the tournament and the results. I will have individual videos for each of these games, so don't worry, you'll get to see the whole shebang. Quick overview though, round 1 I was up against an Amber Amethyst deck. My opponent did inform me he was very new to the game, so absolutely not judging how he did. As long as everyone's having fun, that's good enough for me. Round 2 was an Amber Ruby deck. I want to say a mixture of aggro and mid-range. He had early aggro like Lila and Simba, and also ran mid-range elements like Mulan and Surfer Stitch. I think my particular deck kind of eats mid-range for breakfast, so if I can survive past the aggro, I'm pretty set. Round 4, I can actually show you my opponent's deck list here, as he was a fellow top 8 finalist. He played a really cool Ruby Steel list that looks to pressure lore while still controlling the board. This can be seen with cards like Hans that deals damage while questing, and then there were also cards like Mulan, Taka, and Aladdin that push for lore even when challenging. Really cool idea. I think I won again because the deck falls more in the mid-range category and doesn't fare too well against mine, but yeah, congrats to my opponent for making it into the top 8 with me. Round 4 was insane, a tried and true control matchup. This was a super long game. It was actually featured on stream for the Discord, so I'm sure you could already kind of look it up to see somewhere, but anyway, this was probably the coolest deck I played up against. Another top 8 finalist, my opponent was running Ruby Sapphire Tamatoa items, and he was actually already gaining notoriety in the server enough that I heard he was running Sword of Truth and Poisoned Apple before our match, which at the time, and maybe still, had a pretty bad rep for being terrible cards. When I heard this though, I looked at my own deck and it was like...
I'm in danger!
Anyway, needless to say, this deck was probably my kryptonite, but I put up a dang good fight. If you're gonna watch any of the rounds when I eventually check out these videos, I would watch this one. It was a wild ride from start to finish. Definitely didn't go down without a fight. Round 5 was against what was probably an early iteration of Amber Steel Song. It was the aggro variant, so it took some maneuvering to inch out the win. I'll say though, matchups against Steel that run a whole new world, this deck loves playing against those. Like I mentioned before, this deck runs out of cards quickly, so usually I'd almost say a whole new world benefits it way more than it does for the opponent. So yeah, like every matchup I've had against a whole new world was infinitely more fun because I actually had cards to play with. For the last round, it was up against an iteration of Emerald Ruby Evasives. My opponent very kindly requested not to be on video, so I obliged, and this round will not be featured. I will talk about it a little bit here. I know the deck featured a lot of evasive tech we know, like the Tinkerbells, the Pongos, the Goofies. One thing I will say is Robin Hood really showed up in this game. I played 2 of him, I think, on game 1, and they just controlled the evasive so well. I don't think I even played Be Prepared on this game. And when game 2 came around, I drew into my ramp cards in my starting hand, Tala and Mickey. So since I also had a Robin Hood in my hand, I actually didn't mulligan it away, and I kept it. And again, it really performed game 2 as well. It really solidified its place in its deck for me, as if he didn't already. But yeah, no, it was fun to see like parts of the deck like work the way they should. All in all though, super fun event. Shout out to the Lorcana HQ Discord, the mods, the admins that ran the event, and made it all smooth sailing. Also to all the players, everyone was super friendly and were good sports. I heard others in the tournament repeat the same sentiments, so if you wanted a fun space to chat and play about Lorcana, definitely stop on by. I'll be checking out gameplay videos for these soon, so keep your eyes peeled. Until then, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate your faces. If it's not too much trouble, subscribe if this is the content that is to your fancy, and like this video if you would like to see more. I'll try to get these out as soon as I can, so stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao!